cutting. You can see where the floor is not flat. That's actually got to be trimmed, so I can try and get this to sit a bit lower. And also need to try and get this flatter, get some metal in there. Maybe I need to add some metal. I've got lots of this metal left over from these boxes, so it's just a case of getting these gaps to close up. So take that out, reveal the hole, and I'm going to start by cutting this back. Oh, what's going on? Oh, can't go down that side. Go down this side. So in the middle of moving to Queensland, and part of moving to Queensland is getting this thing back on its wheels. Getting this thing back on its wheels means filling up those holes. So, got a fella coming around who's a much better welder than I am, and he is going to weld those strut boxes in for me, and he's going to fill that little hole with this patch that I've made, make it pretty and strong, and then we'll be able to put the struts in and get it back on its wheels so we can go to Queensland. Put the bonnet back on, even though the car's got a few things on it at the moment for travel purposes. Headlights are back in, guards are all back on, glasses back in the door, power window motors are back in the door. This is all just for travel. I probably won't take it apart as much as it was when I get to Queensland though. Just hold off on that. Anyway, that's what's happening today. The Falcon. I'll give you an update very soon. So it's a few hours later, and Jason from Well Done Mobile Welding has come out and done a job well. Cheers, Jason. I'll show you what he's done. So we've gone from having holes in the floor with no ability to mount my temporary struts that are over there to less holes in the floor and somewhere to mount the struts. So pretty bloody happy about that. It's interesting because I was talking to Jason about replacing my welder that I've got, because I'm not a bad welder when I've got reasonable equipment. Like any good not tradesperson, I'm going to blame my welder, and I'll show you why I'm going to blame my welder. It's an Azito flux core 90 amp welder. I bought it for about 30 bucks off Gumtree, so I mean, it did little jobs, like it welded up the keyholes and, you know, all those sort of things. I managed to make it get through those jobs, but yeah, it was pretty shit. And as Jason best described it, we were talking about welders, and I told him I'm going to get a Unimig 185, and they're about $750 more than I paid for that Azito piece of shit. But it does lift TIG, MMA and MIG, so stick, TIG, MIG, all the eggs, and I will be able to tackle jobs like that a little bit easier. Maybe when I do a little bit of practice. Never goes astray. But anyway, Jason, Well Done Mobile Welding. I'm going to put his number down on the screen. Maybe I'll put it right about there. I'm going to have a few bevies and enjoy my time at home since I've just flown back in. And I'm gonna drill some holes in this beautifully welded in steel. Start working out how to mount my struts. And these are the struts. They're just some tane or tane, however you want to pronounce it, tane. This is just a cheap strut brace that I bought a while ago just to help me set up the position of everything. Whoop. And there you go. It's really not easy to do one-handed, so I'll put that over there. Alright, so that's roughly going to go there. That's going to identify where I need to drill my holes to put my struts in. And I'm going to, in the center here, do an 80mm hole, and that will fit these bolts and these nuts. And then, as I said to Jason, probably eventually get that bit of steel. I'll get someone who can do a dimple die in it just to strengthen up the top, and then I may even reinforce underneath the actual box with a little bit of this is 1.9mm, the steel that the box is made out of. It's probably a millimetre or more thicker than the original Mazda Coke can material that it's made out of, but because of the stresses that the suspension is going to be under when I'm hammering it around Lakeside Raceway in Queensland, it probably could do with a little bit more support. And eventually the cage will incorporate these boxes as well, so there's enough welding and metal on these boxes to hold tons of weight. But you can never reinforce something too much. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. I'll get to drilling, put some holes in this metal, and give you another update. Progress. Okay, before the sun goes down, I better show you what I've done. And oh my god, it was a pain. Those holes there are pretty much ready for the struts. Those struts. The center hole is a pilot hole for the hole saw, which I do not have. I'm going to go buy one tomorrow and get under the car, because if you look at it from here, this is what I've been battling with, trying to drill holes with the I suppose you could call it the C-pillar frame for the rear window, exactly in the way of where I want those holes, but through persistence and probably about 7 small drill bits that snapped because of the angle they were put on to drill, I managed to get it done. So they're 8.5mm holes on the outside, ready for the struts. Hole saw in the middle. Bob's your auntie. Happy days. Well, I filled in some holes, and then I made more holes, which is pretty much, hey, check that out. Whole city. Alright, next, put the struts in. Oh, we've got suspension. Suspension. Pretty excited. This thing is about to get put down on its wheels with its own suspension. Series 3 Rx7 with FC front and rear coilovers. Boom! Okay, here we go. First time on its suspension. Oh, yeah.
do you come up a little bit? Yeah, you're loose. Okay. A bit like the owner, there's a few loose bits. Oh, okay. I was a bit worried then. Thought the suspension was hitting something. Oh, that's better. She's on her wheels. Ooh. She is slammed. Gonna have to come up a little bit higher for the track, I think. Yeah. No fingers. Oh yeah. She's tucked up. Right, so I've lifted the back end about 1.5 inches, almost 2 inches, just to make it a bit easier for transport. Put the window back in. Maybe threw in the shitty seat that I've got just so I don't have to put stuff in the container. But yep, off to Queensland. What are you looking at?
Am I in?
You're out. Goodbye.
Oh!
Wow!